Captain Nikolai Volkov stood at the helm of the EDF Stormbreaker, his weathered hands gripping the command rail as he studied the tactical display. 20 years of service had left deep lines around his eyes, but they still held the sharp focus that had earned him command of Earth's most advanced warship. "Captain, we're picking up something strange in Sector 7, Lieutenant Olivia Drake called from her sensor station. Her dark fingers danced across the holographic interface, adjusting parameters. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Nikolai moved to her station, watching as the anomalous signal pulsed on her screen. The reading came from the dead zone, a sector of space where no ships had returned from in over a decade. The EDF had written it off as a navigational hazard, but Nikolai had always suspected there was more to the story. "Analysis?" he asked, studying the erratic energy pattern. "It's artificially generated, sir. Too regular to be natural. But it's using frequencies we've never encountered before." Olivia's brow furrowed. "Wait, it's changing." The signal suddenly spiked, and emergency klaxons blared across the bridge. Through the main viewport, space itself seemed to tear open, reality splitting along an invisible seam. From the breach emerged a ship, if you could call it that. The vessel was organic, almost crystalline in appearance, its hull flowing like liquid metal. "Battle stations," Nikolai barked, already moving back to the command chair. "Shields up, weapons hot. Get me a target analysis." His crew responded with practiced efficiency. The Stormbreaker's reactor hummed to life as power flooded into her defensive systems. Lieutenant Commander Viktor Roskov, the ship's tactical officer, called out readings from his station. "Unknown vessel is approximately 1.5 kilometers in length. Detecting multiple energy signatures consistent with weapons systems. Their shields." He paused. "Sir, I can't get a read on their shields. Our sensors aren't recognizing the technology." Before Nikolai could respond, a transmission cut through their comms. The language was unlike anything they'd heard before, crystalline tones that seemed to resonate in their bones. But beneath the alien sounds, Nikolai could sense the unmistakable tone of a threat. "Open a channel," he ordered. "This is Captain Nikolai Volkov of the Earth Defense Force vessel Stormbreaker. You have entered restricted space. State your intentions." The response came in perfect English, though the voice held an unsettling metallic quality. "We are Meridian. You occupy space that is not yours. Your species has been marked for ascension. Resistance will only increase the pain of the process." Nikolai's jaw tightened. "We don't respond well to threats. This sector is under Earth protection. Withdraw immediately." "Your protection is irrelevant. The harvest begins now." The alien ship's surface rippled, sections of its hull transforming into weapon arrays. Energy gathered at multiple points, building to critical levels. "Evasive maneuvers," Nikolai shouted. "All batteries, return fire." The Stormbreaker's rail guns roared to life, launching hypervelocity rounds at the Meridian vessel. But the shots seemed to pass straight through, the alien ship's hull flowing like water to avoid the impacts. Their return fire was devastating. Beams of coherent energy sliced through space, catching the Stormbreaker's port side. Shields flared and buckled under the assault. "Shield capacity at 40%. Victor called out. "Their weapons are phasing through our defensive matrix." Nikolai gripped his chair as the ship shuddered. "Engineering, reroute power to forward shields. Helm, bring us about on Vector 7-3. We need to get back to Earth," warned them. But the Meridian ship was faster, cutting off their retreat. More vessels emerged from similar tears in space, surrounding them. The bridge crew watched in horror as their tactical display filled with hostile contacts. "Sir," Olivia's voice was tight with controlled fear. "I'm detecting similar breaches opening near Earth's defense perimeter. They're launching a full-scale invasion." Nikolai stood, his mind racing through options. They were outgunned, but the Stormbreaker carried experimental weapons that hadn't been tested in combat. It was time to find out what they could do. "Load the phase cannons," he ordered. "Target their primary hull structure. If we can't penetrate their shields, we'll bypass them completely." The Stormbreaker's special weapons came online, prototype technology designed to fire through dimensional space. As the Meridian ships closed in for the kill, Nikolai gave the order. Fire everything. The phase cannons discharged, ripping holes in reality itself. The Meridian vessel's liquid metal hull couldn't flow away from something that ignored physical space. The lead ship's crystalline structure shattered, fragments spinning into the void. But their victory was short-lived. The remaining Meridian ships adapted, their hulls shifting to absorb the phase cannon's frequency. Their counterattack was merciless. Hull breach on decks 3 through 7. Victor shouted over the sound of failing systems. We've lost the main reactor. Nikolai helped the fallen crew member back to their station. Begin emergency transmission to Earth Command. Send them everything we've learned about their weapons and capabilities. Encrypt on all channels. Sir, Olivia turned to him, blood running from a cut on her forehead. What about us? Nikolai looked at his crew, some of Earth's finest, people he'd served with for years. They deserved better than this. But sometimes survival meant sacrifice. Prepare to scatter the quantum core, he ordered. If we're going down, we're taking them with us. As the Meridian ships closed in, the Stormbreaker's quantum core began its collapse sequence. In its final moments, the ship's sensors detected hundreds more breaches opening throughout the solar system. The invasion had begun, and humanity's fight for survival would be measured not in victories, but in how dearly they made the enemy pay for every inch of space. The Stormbreaker's core detonated, creating a quantum singularity that dragged 3 Meridian vessels into oblivion. But as Nikolai watched his ship tear itself apart, he knew this was only the beginning. The real war was just starting, and Earth would need every advantage, every hero, and every sacrifice before it was over. Lieutenant Commander Jun Nakamura watched the holographic display as the ONS Ghost drifted silently through the debris field. 3 weeks had passed since the Stormbreaker's last stand, and the wreckage of human and Meridian ships now formed an artificial asteroid belt around Mars. Quantum signature at minimum, whispered Lieutenant Kira Patel from the stealth system station. In the Ghost's darkened bridge, her face was illuminated only by the soft blue glow of her console. We're running as dark as we can get. June nodded, his cybernetic eye adjusting to the low light. The Ghost was Earth's most advanced stealth vessel, designed to be virtually undetectable. But the Meridians had already proven their sensors could detect things that should be impossible. Status of the target? He asked. Still holding position near Deimos, responded Officer Thomas Reed, the ship's sensor specialist. His prosthetic hands, lost in the Battle of Luna, moved smoothly over the controls. The Meridian research vessel hasn't moved in 72 hours. This was their chance. After weeks of watching Meridian patterns, they'd finally found what looked like a scientific vessel. If they could board it, they might find answers about what humanity was really facing. Begin infiltration sequence, June ordered. Tactical team, prep for zero-G boarding. In the ship's armory, 6 elite operators checked their phase suits, cutting-edge stealth technology that could theoretically match the Meridian's ability to shift through space. It was untested technology, but they were beyond playing it safe. Remember, June addressed his team as they gathered in the airlock. We go in quiet. Our priority is data collection. If we're detected, Ghost will execute Protocol Omega, and we disappear. No rescue. Specialist Wei Zhang, their tech expert, adjusted her neural interface. What if we find survivors from the other missing ships? June's expression hardened. There are no survivors. Not after this long. We focus on the mission. The team moved out in perfect silence, their phase suits allowing them to slip between debris without disturbing it. As they approached the Meridian vessel, June could finally see it clearly. Unlike the warships they'd encountered, this one was smaller, its crystalline surface pulsing with internal light. I'm detecting an entry point. Wei transmitted over their secure channel. Some kind of maintenance access. The crystal structure is less dense there. They positioned themselves around the opening, and Wei began interfacing with it. The alien material responded to her tech, creating a temporary passage. One by one, they slipped inside. The interior was unlike anything June had expected. The corridors seemed alive, walls shifting and flowing like liquid glass. Their footsteps made no sound, but he could feel vibrations through his suit, like the whole ship was humming. "Life signs?" he asked. "Nothing conventional," Thomas replied from the ghost. "But there's significant energy movement throughout the structure. Be careful." They moved deeper, following Wei's guidance toward what appeared to be a central data hub. The further they went, the more unsettling the ship became. They passed chambers filled with floating geometric shapes, rooms where gravity seemed to flow in multiple directions, and spaces that their minds couldn't quite process. "Got something," Wei announced, stopping at a terminal that grew from the floor like a crystal tree. Attempting to interface, June kept watch while she worked, his cybernetic eye scanning for threats. Something about this place felt wrong. Too easy. Too quiet. Wei's sharp intake of breath broke the silence. "Commander, you need to see this." The data streaming across her interface was horrifying. The Meridians weren't just invading, they were harvesting. Every human ship they'd captured, every colony they'd overrun, was being processed, breaking down matter and consciousness into raw components for some greater purpose. "They're not killing us," Wei whispered. "They're transforming us. Converting human consciousness into some kind of quantum computational matrix. These ships, they're made from converted civilizations." Before June could respond, the ship's humming changed pitch. The walls around them began to pulse faster, turning from translucent to opaque. "We've been detected," Thomas's voice crackled through their comms. "Multiple energy signatures activating throughout the vessel. Download what you can and move out," June ordered. "Protocol Omega is now in effect." But as they turned to retreat, the corridor behind them sealed itself. The crystal walls began to flow like water, forming into humanoid shapes. Meridian defense drones, their bodies made from the same living metal as the ship. "Weapons free," June shouted, drawing his phase rifle. The team opened fire, their specially designed weapons disrupting the drone's molecular structure. But for every drone they destroyed, two more formed from the walls. "Wei, tell me you got what we came for." "Download at 80%. She fired one-handed while her other hand manipulated the interface. "Just need another minute." They fought in desperate silence, their training allowing them to coordinate without words. Officer Reese took point, his heavy weapons keeping the drones at bay. Specialist Chin covered their flanks, while Dr. Hayes maintained their phase suit's integrity. "Download complete," Wei announced. June activated his emergency beacon. "Ghost, we need immediate extraction. Mark our position and dash." The floor beneath them suddenly liquefied. June's cybernetic eye registered the danger a split second before it happened, allowing him to grab Wei and fire his magnetic grapple into a solid section of ceiling. The rest of the team wasn't as lucky. He watched in horror as the liquid crystal consumed them, their screams cutting off as they were absorbed into the ship's structure. On his neural display, their life signs didn't terminate, they transformed, becoming part of the ship's quantum matrix. "Wei, hold on." He tried to pull them up, but the crystal was climbing their legs, beginning the conversion process. Wei looked at him, her eyes clear despite the terror. "The data, it has to get back. Protocol Omega, Commander. Complete the mission." Before he could stop her, she released her grip on his arm. The crystal consumed her instantly, leaving June hanging alone in the transforming chamber. "Ghost, emergency extraction," he shouted. "Execute Protocol Omega on my mark." The ship's walls were closing in, trying to trap him. His phase suit was the only thing keeping him from being absorbed, but its power was failing. With his free hand, he pulled out a quantum charge, a last resort weapon designed to create a temporary hole in space-time. As the crystal reached for him, June activated the charge and gave his final order. "Mark." The ghost's automated systems responded instantly. A focused beam of quantum energy struck his position, just as the charge detonated. The combination created a brief tunnel through space, yanking him back to the ghost's extraction bay. He landed hard, his phase suit disintegrating around him. Alarms blared as the ghost executed Protocol Omega, engaging its experimental quantum drive to vanish from normal space. June lay on the deck, his cybernetic eye replaying those final moments. 5 of Earth's best operators, gone. Not dead, something worse. Converted into the very thing they were fighting against. But Wei's final sacrifice hadn't been in vain. The data she'd stolen was already transmitting to Earth Command through quantum channels. Now humanity would know the truth about their enemy, about what really happened to all those missing ships and colonies. As the ghost fled through quantum space, June made a silent promise to his lost team. The Meridians thought they could simply absorb humanity, convert them into components of their grand design. But humans didn't submit so easily. And now, with the intelligence they'd gathered, Earth could start fighting back. He just hoped they could find a way to save those who had already been taken. Because somewhere in that liquid crystal nightmare, his team was still conscious, still aware, still waiting to be freed. The war had just become more than a fight for survival. It was now a rescue mission for every human consciousness trapped in the Meridian's living ships. And June would not rest until they found a way to bring them all home. Dr. Octavia Rhodes stared at the quantum matrix display, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun as holographic equations floated around her. The research vessel Prometheus hummed quietly, its laboratories filled with Earth's most advanced scientific equipment, and possibly humanity's last hope. "Run the simulation again," she ordered, her voice hoarse from too many sleepless nights. "Adjust the resonance frequency by 0.03. Her assistant, Dr. Felix Morgan, nodded from his station. The young physicist's dark skin was illuminated by the blue glow of his console as he input the commands. Running simulation sequence 47. The holographic display showed a recreation of a Meridian vessel, based on data from June Nakamura's mission. The simulation fired a modified quantum beam at the target. This time, instead of the beam being absorbed or deflected, it created a cascading reaction through the ship's crystalline structure. "Look at that pattern." Felix leaned forward, excitement breaking through his exhaustion. "The quantum resonance is actually disrupting their molecular cohesion." Octavia allowed herself a small smile. After 2 months of nonstop research, they might finally have found something. The discovery that Meridian ships were made from converted consciousness had changed everything. It wasn't just about destroying them anymore. It was about freeing the trapped souls within. Dr. Rhodes. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka burst into the lab, her security uniform disheveled. "We've got incoming. 3 Meridian vessels just breached into the system." The smile vanished from Octavia's face. "How long?" 20 minutes, maybe less. "Captain Reeves is charging the jump drive, but they all knew the Prometheus wasn't built for running. It was a research vessel, packed with irreplaceable equipment and Earth's brightest minds. Their escort ships had been drawn away by a distress call, which now appeared to be a deliberate trap. "Begin data encryption and transmission to Earth Command," Octavia ordered. "Priority channel, full compression. Felix, help me stabilize the quantum core. If we're going to test this weapon, it's now or never." The ship's crew moved with practiced efficiency, even as fear tinged their actions. They'd all seen the footage of what happened to ships captured by the Meridians. Conversion was a fate worse than death. "Engineering reports the prototype cannon is at 60% charge," Felix called out. "We need at least 85 for the resonance effect to work." Octavia's fingers flew across her console, redirecting power from non-essential systems. "Yuki, get me Captain Reeves." The captain's weathered face appeared on a nearby screen. "Doctor, those ships will be on us in 15 minutes. Whatever you're planning, make it fast." "Sir, we need to hold position until the weapon charges. If this works, we can do more than just escape. We can turn this war around." Captain Reeves studied her for a moment, then nodded grimly. "All hands, battle stations. Engineering, divert all available power to the prototype weapon and shields. We hold this position." The Prometheus shuddered as its engines reversed, bringing it to a stop in space. Around them, point defense turrets emerged from the hull, not enough to win a fight, but maybe enough to buy time. "Weapon charge at 70%, Felix reported. Meridian vessels approaching on attack vectors. Through the lab's viewport, Octavia could see them now. 3 crystalline ships, their surfaces flowing like liquid metal in starlight. Beautiful and terrifying. And inside each one, thousands of converted human consciousnesses trapped in living hell. Charge at 75%, Felix continued. 12 minutes to contact. Octavia moved to the prototype cannon's control station. They'd only get one shot at this. The weapon was built from salvaged Meridian tech combined with Earth's quantum physics breakthroughs. In theory, it would create a resonance wave that would disrupt the crystal matrix holding converted consciousnesses, potentially freeing them. In theory, multiple energy spikes. Yuki shouted. They're charging weapons. The first Meridian blast caught them on the port side. Shields flared but held. The second strike hit harder, sending equipment crashing to the deck. Shields at 40%. Someone called over the ship-wide comm, hull breach on deck 3. Weapon charge at 80%, Felix reported, hanging onto his console. We're almost there. Another hit rocked the ship. Warning klaxons blared as systems began to fail. The Meridian vessels were moving into a triangular formation, preparing to surround them. 85%. Felix shouted. We've got minimum charge. Target the lead vessel, Octavia ordered, her hands steady on the controls despite the chaos around her. Calculating resonance frequency. The lab's lights flickered as power drained into the prototype. Through the viewport, Octavia could see the Meridian ship's weapons charging for a final barrage. This shot would either save them or doom them. Firing solution locked, she announced. Initiating quantum resonance in 3, 2, 1. The prototype cannon fired, releasing a beam of pure quantum energy modulated to the exact frequency of Meridian crystal technology. It struck the lead vessel dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's surface began to ripple, not with its usual fluid grace, but in chaotic, destructive waves. The crystalline structure started to break down, sections of hull dissolving into clouds of glittering particles. It's working, Felix exclaimed. The matrix is destabilizing. But something else was happening. As the ship broke apart, points of light began emerging from the dissolving crystal. Thousands of them, each one a freed human consciousness. Emergency transmission from the target vessel, Yuki reported, her voice filled with awe. They're human signals. The converted crews, they're being released. The other Meridian ships reacted immediately, breaking off their attack. Their surfaces rippled with what almost looked like fear as they retreated, tearing holes in space to escape. Get me readings on those consciousness signals, Octavia ordered. We need to find a way to preserve them before they dissipate. The next hour was a blur of activity as the Prometheus's crew worked to save as many of the freed souls as possible. They managed to capture hundreds in quantum storage devices, preserving them for potential restoration to physical form. As Earth reinforcements finally arrived, Octavia stood in her ruined lab, watching the last traces of the destroyed Meridian ship drift away. They'd proven it was possible, not just to fight the Meridians, but to save their victims. Dr. Rhodes, Captain Reeves called from the doorway. Earth Command is requesting an immediate briefing. They want to know if the weapon can be replicated. Octavia nodded, already running calculations in her head. We'll need to stabilize the resonance matrix, increase the power efficiency. But yes, we can build more. And now we know their weakness. She looked at the quantum storage devices, each one containing dozens of rescued consciousnesses. The war wasn't over, but for the first time since the invasion began, humanity had real hope. They could fight back. They could save their people. And maybe, just maybe, they could make the Meridians regret ever targeting Earth. Commander Zara Hassan watched Jupiter's swirling storms through the armored viewport of Europa Base Command. The gas giant's perpetual tempest matched the turmoil in her heart as she reviewed the tactical display showing Earth's remaining fleet positions around the Jovian moons. Status report, she demanded, her prosthetic right arm interfacing directly with the command console. Colonel Dante Rodriguez, her second-in-command, stepped forward. 57 ships combat-ready, spread across Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. The quantum resonance weapons have been installed on our heavy cruisers, but we've only had time to calibrate 3 of them. And the Meridians? Long-range scouts report over 200 vessels incoming. They're not even trying to hide their approach this time. Zara nodded grimly. After Dr. Rhodes's successful test of the quantum resonance weapon, the Meridians had changed tactics. Instead of surgical strikes and stealth operations, they were now launching massive, overwhelming assaults. They'd learned to fear humanity's new weapon, but they'd also learned to swarm their targets before it could be effectively deployed. Status of the civilian evacuation? She asked. Europa and Callisto are clear, Dante reported. But we've still got 30,000 colonists on Ganymede. The ice storms are playing hell with the transport launches. Zara's artificial fingers drummed against the console. The Jovian defense line was humanity's last major stronghold beyond Mars. If it fell, Earth would be next. But holding it would cost lives, possibly every life under her command. Commander, Lieutenant Raven Jackson called from the sensor station. Multiple quantum breaches detected. They're coming in hot. The tactical display erupted with red icons as Meridian ships tore their way into normal space. Their crystalline forms caught Jupiter's light, creating an eerily beautiful aurora across the void. All ships, battle positions, Zara ordered. Her voice carried across the fleet via quantum comm. Cruiser groups maintain distance and target lock with resonance weapons. Destroyer squadrons hold defensive screens around the colonies. This is what we trained for, people. We hold this line. The first wave of Meridian ships struck like a tsunami. Their liquid metal hulls shifted and flowed, sprouting weapon arrays that fired strange energies across space. Earth's fleet responded with everything they had: railguns, plasma lances, and the precious few quantum resonance cannons. Direct hit on hostile flagship, Dante reported as one of their cruisers scored with its resonance weapon. The Meridian vessel fractured, releasing its trapped consciousnesses into space. But 3 more ships immediately took its place. Ganymede Colony reports multiple impacts, Raven called out. Their shields are failing. Zara made a decision that would haunt her. Redirect Cruiser Group 2 from Europa defense. Get those resonance weapons to Ganymede. Now, the battle descended into chaos. Meridian ships pressed their attack with inhuman precision, while Earth vessels fought with desperate creativity. For every Meridian they destroyed, 2 more seemed to appear. The space around Jupiter's moons became a graveyard of crystalline fragments and human debris. Commander, Dante's voice was tight with urgency. They're concentrating fire on the Ganymede evacuation corridors. Those transports won't survive a direct hit. Zara's tactical display showed the situation clearly. 30,000 civilians trying to escape through a rapidly closing window, while Meridian forces moved to cut them off. Their remaining resonance-equipped ships were too far away to help. Get me a channel to the Hyperion, she ordered. The face of Captain Raj Patel appeared on her screen. His ship, the EDF Hyperion, was the newest addition to their fleet, and possibly their last hope. Captain, I need your ship to run interference for those evacuation ships. Buy them time to clear the gravity well. Raj's expression was grim but determined. The Hyperion's shields won't last long against that many hostiles. I know, but those civilians. Understood, Commander. It's been an honor. The Hyperion moved with grace belying its size, positioning itself between the Meridian fleet and the fleeing civilian ships. Its advanced shields flared as it absorbed fire meant for the transports, buying precious minutes for the evacuees to reach safe jump distance. Civilian ships clearing Ganymede's orbit, Raven reported. 80% evacuated, 90%. The Hyperion's shields finally failed. Meridian weapons tore into its hull, but Captain Patel kept his position. Even as the ship broke apart, he maintained formation, protecting the last transport ships. Final transport away, Dante announced. All civilians clear. But the victory was bitter. The Hyperion exploded in a flash of quantum fire, taking 3 Meridian vessels with it. Across the battlefield, Earth ships were falling one by one, overwhelmed by superior numbers. "Europa base, critical breach," someone shouted. "They're cutting through the ice." Zara watched in horror as Meridian forces began landing on the Jovian moons. Their crystalline forms adapted to the harsh conditions, spreading across the icy surfaces like living frost.